ladies and gentlemen, this is Power Out Guys podcast. It's the day after the debate, and we're going to break it all down. And now your hosts, Josh Hammerling and Max McGuire.
Welcome back, Right Guys podcast. Happy Wednesday. My name is Max McGuire here with Mr. Producer Josh Hammerling. Debate night last night. Coming out of the debate last night, my takeaway, and I still kind of feel that way, was that I thought Trump left a lot on the table that he could have used. His closing statement was excellent. I wish he would have done that throughout the night over and over and over again. Every time become that repetitive, like she was with some of her talking points, just time after time say, why haven't you done it? Why haven't you done it? This morning, though, sleeping on it, watching it again, thinking about it, Donald Trump did what he needed to do. I don't think he got the knockout punch that he got like against Joe Biden, where he's like, I don't even know if this guy knows he's alive, like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there weren't any self-inflicted wounds, unless you want to be one of the lefter, insinuating that one of his Trumpisms is a self-inflicted wound. It's been remarkable going down the rabbit hole of the migrants eating the pets.
Yeah, isn't it?
Since last night, we have gotten 911 audio of someone calling in the town saying that migrants are taking the geese out of the park, cutting off their heads and eating them. We have a police report saying that they were told that. We have someone who drove just in the last day, drove there, interviewing people on the streets. And the migrants all laugh, say, oh, no, we would never do that. And every time he talks to one of the white guys who live in the neighborhood, they're like, oh, no, they do that. I saw a van of them, a van grabbing cats off the street. And one lady on this little documentary piece, I can't call it a documentary, it was put together in one day. It has debate clips in it. That's how new it is. One lady's like, oh, yeah, the person at the end of the street used to feed all these cats, 50 cats. We all go there for food. Now there's like 5. So we're gonna learn more about the cats and the pets.
Yeah.
Trump will often do this. He'll say something like, oh, they're eating the cats. And like, that's not true. And then it comes up, oh, no, actually, they're just swimming in the pond, grabbing the ducks and eating them. Right.
Yeah.
So now we're in the phase where they say, of course, they aren't eating the pets. In 2 weeks, we'll probably get to the phase where the headlines read why it's good to eat pets.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks later, the headlines will probably read why it's racist to think it's wrong to eat pets. That's where we're at. So we're at the very start. We've seen it with all of these, right? And that was the part I couldn't get over, right? To gaslight the American people like this. To fact check him on stage over that.
Unbelievable.
And say, well, actually, the city manager says there hasn't been a police report.
Blows my mind.
Oh, well, that means it couldn't have possibly happened.
Yeah, some unverifiable guy, right? Who's not even in the right area. Who knows? But that makes him an expert, so we got to believe him. But they are, and people don't want to see their pets being eaten by other people. You know what I mean?
Have you seen the memes? Have you seen the memes that have come out?
Oh my God, they have been hilarious.
They're using AI to show Donald Trump saving ducks and cats
on water under his arms as he's moving across the water. I mean, it just blows my mind. I mean, we laugh about it, but we can't speak the truth on stage without the mass media telling us we're wrong. Which is what I find really strange about it. Why even protect Kamala on a statement like that during the debate? Because they must know it's true. Otherwise, they wouldn't put so much effort into trying to make it untrue.
Yeah. Here are some of the memes that I just found quickly. Donald Trump riding the cats into battle. Donald Trump saving 2 kittens from a slaughterhouse. Donald Trump saving the little ducklings in his bathrobe. There are a lot of good memes. Yeah. And one of the memes made it. One of the memes made it into Congress. Do you see that one?
Was that Swalwell losing his mind?
Losing his mind.
Yeah.
Over
I just gotta shake my head and just think about old Fang Fang every time he comes up. And him losing his mind on this. You know it had to hit home. Why would they spend so much time trying to debunk it? I mean, it's how they read, right?
Here we go. Pay attention because it starts right at the very beginning.
What in the hell is this? The chairman tweets, protect our ducks and kittens in Ohio because he goes down some crazy rabbit hole, completely debunked that aliens are eating pets? My God. Are you okay, Mr. Chairman? Because last year, for a very long time, you tweeted and promoted Kanye West as he was calling for genocide against the Jews, and you kept it up. And now, when we have victims coming here, you're tweeting this nonsense.
I just don't like it.
I don't know why you would do this. I hope you're okay.
I mean,
let's watch the beginning again. Just the beginning again.
What the hell is this?
In the hell is this?
It's eating him up inside. Like he genuinely
and it's not just that he posted. Look at the bit on the bottom. 49.3 million views.
The viral too. And that's what pisses him off because this is positive for Trump. Marketing. It's great. The campaign loves this. People are doing the work for him.
Again, we're gonna learn eventually. And this is something that JD Vance has come out and said, listen, I'm the senator for the state of Ohio. And he started talking about this because constituents had called into his office saying this is happening. So for the media to say he has said without evidence, when bad things happen and you contact your senator and then your senator's like, oh, this is bad. This probably shouldn't happen. And then the media says, oh, that he didn't provide the evidence. They left messages on his voicemail.
He needs to at least get to the bottom of it. People are seeing something and they want their congressperson to act. Oh, what is this?
This is a police report.
Oh my gosh.
Report from August 26th. So not even that long ago. This is a couple weeks. So right as this all is bubbling up, right? This is a police report from Clark County Communications Center. The suspected crime is larceny. They got the call and they arrived on the scene. And here is what they said. Let's read it's a little hard to read. Went towards downtown. I could tell there were Haitians. Where's the part about the? Okay, here we go. 2 females, 2 males, all Haitians right here. Each had 1 goose, 4 geese stolen. Toyota is a newer model. Went toward downtown. RP saw them first on the bike path. Caller RP and referred them onto ODNR. Provide contact number for them. RP said he could tell they were Haitian because he was within earshot of them to hear them speaking Haitian Creole, but he could not get a complete license plate or a picture of them. So this is someone who called in. This is in a police report that the Haitians were in the park killing the geese and taking them. This was an investigation for larceny in the town where apparently the city manager said this isn't on his radar. Now, it's entirely possible they got other things going on and this isn't on his radar. That's fine, right? But to call up the city manager, catch him off guard and say, this is on my radar. Maybe you should pull the police reports.
Yeah.
Maybe you should pull the police reports.
It's probably willful ignorance, right? I mean, I'm not even sure if the police would sit there and inform the park workers, like, hey, watch out for these groups. They might be out here trying to steal geese and cook them over on the barbecue. And where are they taking them to cook them? Like back to their house where they're staying? I mean, it's just super odd, man. I just don't want all my geese disappearing out of our ponds just because a bunch of Haitians want to eat them. You know, I mean, get a hunting license like everybody else. Do your once a year.
Well, here's the thing. I've eaten goose. It tastes good. I like it. It's a little oily for my liking. But it's food, right? I'm not angry at people who are in a situation where they feel they have no choice but to swim in the park and hunt the waterfowl. Right? I have I have sympathy for anyone in such a destitute position that they need to illegally hunt waterfowl to feed themselves.
Yeah.
Like I have nothing but concern for them. But here's the thing, right? They didn't have to go to Ohio. They went to Ohio with no real job skills, no real job-based education. They're on government assistance. They're on food stamps. So what did you think was going to happen when either the food stamps run out or when you put someone in the middle of Ohio before the assistance kicks in? What do you think is going to happen? Right?
They're going to look for food.
And it's not crazy. It's not crazy because when you read stories about what's going on in Haiti, they have warlords taking over city streets. They've had natural disasters, terrible economy.
Oh my gosh.
It is well known that people will eat whatever animal they can catch.
Absolutely.
Especially in another one, Venezuela. That is well known that they are eating any animal that they can catch because that's the only food they have available to themselves. It isn't a shock. Like if you told me and said, we just got a bunch of Egyptians. They moved in and they all started eating the cats. I'd be like, well, that's weird. That's weird. But if you told me that migrants are maybe eating pets, and where did they come from? Oh, they came from the country where it's actually common to eat whatever animal you can get because there's no food.
Yeah.
Like it's not a huge disconnect. Right. And part of the reason that the left is saying we have to give them this temporary protected status is they're saying if they go back, they're going to have to eat the street dogs again.
That's disturbing. I know.
It's completely circular, right?
It's Max. If you and I were to harm one of these animals, we'd probably be brought up on charges of some kind, like cruelty to animals.
Do you know what the charge is for killing migratory waterfowl out of season without a federal permit?
No.
It's a felony.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. Waterfowl out of season. That would also mean that they're importing a new crime, like a crime that did not exist here often, right? It's just now showing up when these groups happen to be here.
30 days the first time. 30 days the first time. $250. 30 days the first time. But if you make a thing out of it and you keep doing it, it gets worse, right? If you keep killing these, it's a big deal. Not a felony right away.
Right.
If you were to kill 100 of them, you could get to that level. So I want to correct myself.
But even your local statutes are going to have something. And are they going to be charged? We know these people can't pay for their defense, right? Do the police just look the other way on these crimes?
Outside of hunting season, without a permit, you can be facing state and federal. You could be facing up to like $5,000 in fines just for a first time offense. And they're like, oh, let them swim.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And then I get on. I don't want to beat the dead horse of eating the pets. But then there's this video, not from the same town, but from another city in Ohio.
What did you do? Why'd you kill the cat? Smile for me. Smile, what did you go like this? Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it? Did you guys see all this?
No, we pulled up and she was just laying there with it.
Did you see her eating it?
Eating it.
She was eating it?
Yeah, she was.
You call the Humane Society, see if they'll come pick this cat up. It's deceased.
Unbelievable.
Again, not the same city in Ohio.
Unbelievable.
Like, this is real. So if Donald Trump's on the debate stage, you can't fact check him and say, well, actually, we called the city manager and it's not on his radar. When everyone online is like, well, here's the body camera footage, right? They're like, here is a separate incident of police report of them illegally killing geese and breaking their necks and walking through the street with them. Guys on the street interviewing people and say, yeah, I saw a van picking up cats.
Yeah.
Whether this is completely true or there's shades of truth to it, there's a problem in this town, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was a boy who was killed by a Haitian migrant.
Haitian migrant, on the first day of school.
And the father has come out and said he wishes his son was killed by a white man so there wouldn't be all of this talk about the migrants in the community. And you're just like, what are we doing here? They've done videos at the local DMV and they're asking police officers, how are these guys getting driver's licenses? They don't speak English. They've never driven before. They haven't gone to driving school. They haven't gotten the learner's permit. What are we doing here? And literally, I'm watching videos of man on the street interviews, and in the background, there's just migrants crashing cars. It's like what the hell? And so they're trying to make this about the cats. Yeah, fine. Whether it's a cat or an illegally killing a migratory waterfowl, whatever it is, there's something off. And when you take tens of thousands of people who speak a different language and throw them in the middle of a random town in Ohio and say, good luck, you're going to have a lot of problems.
Clash of culture all the way. And there's going to be resistance. There's only going to be so much people take or want to pay attention to. And to see the moderators in last night's debate take a position for Democrats on this is even more sickening because they know it's a real problem. They know it's actually happening, but deny. Stick with the lie, right? Just get her elected.
Again,
I don't even know what to think about this country sometimes. It's not going to go well. It's not going to end well for a lot of people, especially if they start breaking into houses to get food. I mean, this is just the start, right? Little crimes usually lead to bigger crimes.
I think this next video I'm going to play is in New York. I believe this was a man who had caught a seagull. His intention was to eat it. A migrant, of course.
Anything to say?
Your name? Unlock that door for me, please.
I mean, like, this is crazy. And apparently there was it's just insane. And listen, it's not to get caught up in the minutia of like, are these domesticated birds or not?
Yeah.
It's weird. And I said it last night. Like, it is not normal to go to another country and just eat wild animals. It's just not normal. It's not normal. And go ahead.
Well, there's nobody to stop them. There's nobody to say, hey, don't do that. And if they do get arrested for the crime, are they actually going to get punished for it? There's no consequences. If you live in a consequenceless society, everything's going to just break. You're done.
Yeah.
And it's all imported. None of this is homegrown. That's the worst part about it, right? This is all imported. Brought to you by the DNC. Brought to you by Kamala Harris. Brought to you by Joe Biden. Brought to you by everybody in Congress who's a Democrat at this point. Nancy Pelosi's fingers is all over this, but they let him over the border.
Have you seen this one? This was a Springfield City Commission meeting.
It's like kind of odd that like a guy like me has to come out from doing what I do on a daily basis to have fun because I see what's going on in these streets and I see you guys just sitting up there in them comfy chairs and suits and I'm getting out here every day and I'm broadcasting this and you guys are just sitting up there in suits or something. Like I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, like, y'all can be comfortable with this. Like, I don't know, like, who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. Like, y'all get the Highway State Patrol down here every week, and then y'all get like a task force for the Highway State Patrol, and they look for guns and they look for dope and this and that and the fourth. That same people that y'all got riding up and down Limestone doing U-turns, pulling people over for blinkers and pulling people over for going left to center and like a couple miles over. Like y'all can take them same people, the Highway State Patrol, and you can take them in every single one of their silver Chargers and Dodge Durangos, and y'all can take them to Sunset, and y'all can park them right over there, and y'all can teach people how to drive. Since the Highway State Patrol knows so much about traffic laws and.
So this is again.
He's angry. Yeah.
So we got police report the geese. This man takes time. He's testifying. I mean, this is testimony, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just say, "Oh, fact check debunked." When a guy, as he just said, took time out of his day to go to city council and to complain about that they're eating the ducks out of the city park. All of the evidence, right? It's one thing to say, okay, I think this is crazy. Maybe we should look into it. It's another thing before any like investigation at all to just say it's debunked and to fact check Trump live on stage. Another example of this, Time Magazine put out an article, headline, How Kamala Harris Knocked Trump Off Course. And it has this long article about how great she was, how terrible he was, right? La, 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 la. You get all the way to the end. And, oh, what's that? It's a correction?
Correction?
I'll make it bigger. The original version of the story mischaracterized as false Donald Trump's statement accusing Kamala Harris of supporting transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison. As a presidential candidate in 2019, Harris filled out a questionnaire saying she supported taxpayer-funded gender transition treatment for detained immigrants.
We mentioned this. We knew it.
They put the fact check out, and they didn't even look to see if it was real. They just assume it's fake. And how many people read that Donald Trump lied and now think he lied? Because they're not going to go to the very bottom of the article and read the correction. They're not going to go back.
No, why would they?
Back to a news article you've read.
Never.
No.
Never. And it's
so everything's they fact check. It's false, 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 false. And yet then you get the JD Vance couch meme, right? Where someone made up that in his book, they completely made it up that he had relations with a couch. To the point where the Associated Press went to fact check it, and they put up an article that said, no, JD Vance did not have sex with a couch. They fact checked it false, and then they pulled it. You know why they pulled it? They pulled it because the editorial people there said, well, wait, we can prove that wasn't in the book, but we actually can't definitively say he's never had sex with a couch. So they pulled the fact check. That's what we're dealing with here. On the left, they will literally bend over backwards to explain away why something isn't fact-checked or should be fact-checked, right? Or shouldn't be fact-checked. But on the right, they are so quick to say, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Yeah.
That if they were paying attention, I mean, we saw these videos from Ohio. The reason we're hearing about it now is that the people of Ohio were complaining about it 2 weeks ago. As we just saw, the police report, the guy going to City Hall, right? It took 2 weeks for a local issue from Springfield, Ohio to bubble up to national news.
Yeah.
And rather than saying that's weird, we got a complete full court press from the entire mainstream media saying it's not true. Not true. Can't possibly be that the people coming from countries where they're so poor that they actually end up eating street dogs. It's impossible that they could possibly do that here. Again, I don't know if it's true, but it doesn't ring as completely false.
Yeah.
Especially when you see the evidence. If you put blinders on and you ask the one guy in town who hasn't seen the police report.
Not fact checks. It's just, this is the propaganda machine of all propaganda machines ever created. I mean, they are making influence happen in real time during the debate. They are so unified. This apparatus is so big that the level of sponsorship by people for this is just tremendous. And it's hard trying to combat a propaganda machine that has this much backing, right? Because even the next day they make the corrections, but nobody sees it. The correction sticks, right? The fact checks just aren't even fact checks anymore. I don't even know what this is. It's
just it's so disheartening because, as I said last night, I think we all realized we came out of the CNN debate and we were surprised at how actually like objectively fair they were. To see the night and day difference it becomes very obvious that the hit was put in. The CNN debate was to get Joe Biden out. If the powers that be wanted Joe Biden to stay in, there is no way that debate would be fair and honest, and the moderators would be decent and objective, right? Wouldn't have happened. The only reason that they had that was because the fix was in. Get Biden out of the race. If he was in it to win it, I guarantee you the CNN debate would have gone like the ABC News debate last night. We've been fact check. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is able to just lie with complete impunity. There was one clip I pulled that was literally 7 lies in 2 minutes with not a single fact check.
Which part was it? Because there was times I was sitting there taking notes, and
it was the big one where she's talking about like, the fine people on both sides, bloodbath.
Oh my gosh,
she stacked them on top of each other.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, just like, propaganda after propaganda statement, right?
And I rewatched the bloodbath clip that Donald Trump had. He was talking about like the auto trade and what would happen economically if we let car manufacturing go to Mexico.
Yeah.
He said, if you let them take this plant,
it
will be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And they've just completely twisted it. There's no truth whatsoever. And they just lie with impunity, absolute impunity. And to see, it'd be one thing if the moderators were calling Kamala Harris out too.
Yeah.
And said, actually, Kamala Harris, that has been debunked by Snopes. He didn't say there were fine people on both sides. He was talking about like Daughters of the Confederacy or historical preservation societies that didn't want the statue taken down. He made it very clear. You're just not admitting that, right? No, they had no desire to fact check her whatsoever. The
apparatus can't let her win, right? They're going to support her no matter what happens. I mean, stick to the narrative, win the election, and then just start ramrodding through all these crazy Marxist ideas that they have. I mean, this is the road to communism, and you can hear how it's paved with lies. Constant lie. I mean, last night it was crazy. Just bringing up the fine people on both sides lie, even though there was national stories that said Snopes had debunked that. They still let her walk out with that and make the statement and not even try to push back. There wasn't even a little pushback when she was making those statements. So there's no journalistic integrity there, right? That's just that giant Disney ABC apparatus that's pushing really weird stuff on the world, stuff that people are going to accept or reject. And along with that is the crazy migrants bringing their culture too. I mean, all these societal pressures are unreal.
I said it last night. Who among us has not traveled abroad and eaten wild animals off the street? I know I have. I mean, I've eaten some weird stuff abroad. I lived in Lebanon for a bit. I think I have eaten just like someone who slaughtered a wild goat. But that's a little different.
Because that's a different
I've eaten some weird stuff.
Animal.
But I've never gone to a country, looked at the park, and licked my lips over the geese. That's a different kind. That's a different kind.
I usually don't hunt there, right? I'm not sitting there setting up traps at the local office where all of the people working are watching people starting to eat these animals coming out. Because sooner or later, someone's going to get it on video, like the full thing.
Yeah. Oh no, you're going to get someone picking their teeth with some cat hanging out. We're going to get this. Like if I know the conservative movement, they're going to get this damn video. Like they're going to get it. I wouldn't be shocked if they weren't stocking ducks with clipped wings in that park right now.
No, right? Just to try to get the
put some decoys, put some plastic decoys, and see if anyone jumps out and tries to grab them.
Oh my gosh! But it's going to happen. We're going to see it, and then they won't be able to defend it. But it's too late.
Yeah,
they just push it under the rug, like all of the other stuff. Hunter Biden laptop story, right? That's just inconvenient, but it'll go away, right? That's all this is. Fact checks are just inconveniences for them now because of the apparatus. It's so frustrating, and it just pisses me off.
I want to bring on our guest. We have a guest waiting in the wings because it's. Well, let's bring on Blaine Pardoe. Welcome to the show. He's a New York Times best-selling author. You've written a lot of different things, nonfiction, fiction. welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I've been listening to your diatribe. Believe me, I'm suffering right with you. You know, it's like, wow, you know, and the parts that drive you nuts about the debate were the stories that didn't get covered at all. Like the Biden and Harris administration has flown like 100,000 Haitians into this country, not sent them through the border, not let them through the border. We sent aircraft down, loaded up, and brought them here.
Yeah.
You know, that's why a lot of the border numbers have dropped, is we are sending aircraft to these countries, picking these aliens up and bringing them here.
It's actually worse than that. The Biden administration has taken migrants, illegal aliens, who have been deported under Trump and bringing them back.
Unbelievable.
So we have people who have actually committed deportable offenses being brought back because they deserve a second chance.
Yeah, I mean, that debate was such a painful experience to watch, not because Trump did badly. I think Trump scored some major points. The problem is it was lost by the fact that, you know, it was a 3-on-1 dog pile. And honestly, if I had 3 people pummeling me and saying I was lying about stuff that I knew I was telling the truth about, yeah, I got to be honest with you. The fact that he held his own and didn't get frustrated and walked off says a lot.
They wanted him. They wanted him to lose his cool. I mean, they would have loved for him to get angry, because then they would have said, "Oh, look, he's melting down." Right?
Yeah. Well,
I thought he was a little subdued for Trump. He got more animated for his closing remarks. I thought that was the most animated he'd been all night. Really, his eyes were completely open. He was completely there, like punching at her. I thought there were missed opportunities. And I mean, there are always missed opportunities. You watch these debates, you're like, oh, say this. Oh, he didn't. Say this. Oh, he didn't. He didn't get the kill shot that he got against Biden.
Well, let's be honest. In 250 some years of our country, we have never had a candidate knocked out completely by a debate until Donald Trump took out Joe Biden. I mean, that's like literally a Mike Tyson moment.
And we've never had the next debate moderators pretend that it didn't happen. There was no question about how Kamala Harris forced him out, and now she's there, about how strange that is. They just pretended it didn't happen, just like first time ever a presidential candidate has been shot in the head and not even mentioned in the debate.
No, he brought it up, and I thought that was a great point when he brought it up. I thought he did a great job doing that.
Should have been a question.
You know, but they don't care, because they're not concerned with the truth. Look at Leslie Stahl over at CBS. She came out on the Hunter Biden laptop. Remember the interview that he did for 60 Minutes, you know, before the election last time, and she just kept saying, no, that's been disproven. We're not going to talk about it. It's Russian disinformation. It's this and that. Has Leslie Stahl issued any sort of an apology? Has CBS said, you know what? We were wrong about that. And what we did was wrong. Or we were told to say that by X, Y, and Z. No, they literally, a professional journalist, if they make a big mistake like that, usually has to go on, and when I was a kid, had to go on the air and make their apology. These guys have zero scruples, zero interest. And a lot of this, I think, is, you got to remember, George Stephanopoulos of ABC is being sued by Donald Trump for $30 million. Stephanopoulos was saying early on in this whole campaign, we can't treat Donald Trump like we do her or any other candidate at the time. He's like, we can't treat him the same, because Donald Trump needs to be held to a different standard. And that's wrong. That is wrong. It's fundamentally wrong.
One of the Josh, you have a question?
Well, I was going to say, when you write your books and stuff, how often do you look to politics that are going on around you? Right?
Absolutely.
Because you can't even write, like, as a writer, I got to imagine that you could just sit here and watch some of this stuff. And you're like, I can't even write stuff like this, the craziness that comes out. So, I mean, is that kind of like part of your process, or do you just, or is it inspirational, say?
Well, the way I do it is, in my science fiction series, I don't include any politics whatsoever, and just haven't. I don't get involved with that. I dump all of that in my Blue Dawn series, which is about the progressive overthrow of the government and the people 5 years later who fight to try and take the country back. The Blue Dawn series, all politics. I just go in there and hammer that. And that's where I like to play with it. It inspires me. I literally go to the gym 5 to 7 days a week. I watch CNN and MSNBC while I'm at the gym because it provides me my core material for the book.
Wow.
It's
That's
literally,
scary.
it's because the series is about what if the progressives got everything they wanted, rounded up conservatives, put them in social quarantine camps, put social justice out on the street, have Americans turning in Americans for reparation points, and it's about the war that comes up after that to reestablish the country. But, I gave the progressives everything they want. And what you see in the book and in the series is you see that it becomes a totalitarian regime very quickly, because that's the natural output of where a lot of what Kamala is talking about getting into is destined to happen. The main evil character in my book is AOC. It's that.
Wow.
She's my Lex Luthor, man. Because I think she's very dangerous. She is smarter than everybody gives her credit for. She has taken a page out of Donald Trump's playbook. AOC knows all I got to do is get people to talk about me. It doesn't have to be positive. I just want them talking about me. And she plays the Donald Trump playbook for the Dems. And she's a scary individual. And I fear she's going to run for office. I really do, because there's a lot of young people that look to her and go, well, that's the kind of youth and vigor and energy we need in this country. And it's like, yeah, but it's layered with a level of dipshittery that, none of us need.
Hey, I made the prediction on this show that she's going to be the next in line. Like when the next election comes up, it's going to be AOC. And Max hates that idea.
She's going to run. I mean, maybe she's going to probably do the Kamala Harris bit. She's going to run. She'll drop out before Iowa. And then maybe the Democrats coronate her without anyone ever voting for her. I mean, now that we're in this realm where you can run for president without ever getting a primary vote, I guess, she could be president. I'd like to think that the American people, even just Democrat primary voters, wouldn't choose her. But now we live in a world where it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, they've changed the rules on everything. And thrown the rule book out completely. So everything is fair game. The fact that they just spew these lies about Charlottesville and about all this other stuff that they know, Project 2025, they brought it up several times. At no point did ABC go, look, this has been proven that this is not related at all to Donald Trump. They literally were like, they loved it. They totally loved the fact that they did it. And I assure you, too, that the moderators slept wonderfully last night.
Oh, yeah.
They slept with no guilt whatsoever about what they did because they've convinced themselves what they're doing is a patriotic act. And that makes them all the more dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah.
No, I think you're right. I watched that and I can't believe that they let it go. And you mentioned 2025. There was, I think it was the same answer. It might have been two answers back to back. One where she looked in the camera and said, Project 2025 is Trump's plan. And then it was almost like in the same breath, she proclaimed that Donald Trump has no plan. And I'm just like, well, which is it? You just
they don't care about the inconsistencies.
Can't have it both ways.
They don't care about the inconsistencies at all. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter to them that they say one thing one year and then the next year they say, oh, I'm totally voting the opposite way. They don't care about the inconsistencies. This is about keeping and maintaining power. And they love the power that they had through COVID. I mean, let's not forget, more people died under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's watch from COVID than died under Donald Trump's. Let's not forget how many people's careers were destroyed because they were told, if you don't take the shot, you're out of the military. You're out of the federal government. You can't be a contractor. How many people's lives were upended by that administration? And they're saying that the biggest threat to freedom is Donald Trump. It's ridiculous. And I thought he made a great point when he said, when they brought up January 6th, he was like, one person got killed. It was Ashley Babbitt. That was wrong. And it should have never happened. And I told those people to go down to the Capitol and protest peacefully and patriotically.
Not even those people. He was at the Ellipse, which if anyone's ever been to the National Mall, the Ellipse, as you walk it, it's like a mile and a half from the Capitol
it's
building.
Huge.
And when you're down there, you don't have cell service at these events. So no one at the Capitol building was watching Donald Trump speak. They couldn't hear him speak. He told people a mile and a half away to protest peacefully and patriotically. And then other people a mile and a half away did something different.
Yeah.
Right. And they're trying to make it like he was right there. And I look at the map, I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Well, David Muir, even when he asked the question, think about how he phrased the question. And that's what I was picking apart last night. Even though you did send a tweet out, it was 2 hours later. He would really phrase the question along the lines of, are you still beating your wife? I've already proclaimed that, this is what you did and what you didn't do right. Now explain to me why you did what you did, type thing. Or it was more of what would you have done differently? And I thought he was good. He was like, look, I asked for these reinforcements and they did not deliver. And it's documented, by the way, that they didn't do that. Muriel Bowser did not deliver downtown DC, nor did the National Guard, nor did the Pentagon. Trump tried to avert this, and they've laid the blame for their idiocy at his doorstep. And that's very frustrating. Now, he did make one mistake, and that was to even hold that protest there that close to the cat. That was a mistake to do it that day. If he had done it the day before, the day after, but to do it that day, people were fired up, as I understand it. I wasn't there. I live outside DC. I wasn't there. But, other than that, that's the only thing I would have answered is I would have done it on a different day. Boom. Give them no ground to go to. But, he tried to explain it to him, and at no point did they embrace it.
They're saying he should have tweeted earlier. People often forget that Donald Trump did send out tweets. They got deleted by Twitter, and then they suspended him over the tweets. So you should have tweeted out earlier. They were deleting his tweets. So in this world where Donald Trump is tweeting things out and Twitter is deleting them and locking his account because they're saying violates terms of service, I would imagine that in that moment he couldn't actually tweet until he clicks through the button to say, I promise not to do it again. But then also, in a world where anything you say is going to get scrutinized by Twitter, suspended and everything, you can't just go out and say whatever you want, because they actually found a way to take the video of him telling everyone to go home, and they say that violated their terms of service, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're right with the when did you stop beating your wife, kind of like that kind of thing. He was in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And he chose to let it play out, tell people to be peaceful, patriotic, and they still hit him for it. It's a no-win situation.
Well, I thought he was brilliant as well when they talked about, well, all these people have come out from your previous administration to support Kamala Harris. And I thought his response was dead on. He was like, I fire people who don't do their job well. And these people all go off and write books and make millions of dollars and do the speaking tours, etc. These people don't fire anybody, even when they have a debacle like what they had during the withdrawal of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And that was, I'm paraphrasing the answer, but it's fairly close. It was along those lines. They literally just kind of brushed past that. And to me, I would have said, Kamala, you were the last person in the room, according on that decision in Afghanistan. What was your decision? What was your contribution to what happened? That would have been a fair question. It would have been a fair question to say, Kamala, what was your role in Joe Biden stepping aside? When did you know Joe Biden wasn't mentally competent to be to run for another term? Those are legitimate questions that the American people deserve to have answered.
If he's too mentally incompetent to run for another term, how is he not too mentally incompetent to still do the job now?
Well, did you see the picture of him today? He put on a Trump hat at one of his rallies.
He put on a Trump hat.
You can't make this stuff up. It's kabuki theater. It makes no sense whatsoever.
But for the vice president, she doesn't have a lot of responsibility. She breaks the tie if there's a tie in the Senate, right? She has to be there in case the president becomes incapacitated. There's supple like ceremonial things that she does. But one of the real constitutional requirements for her is that if the president is incapacitated, she must convene the cabinet and hold a vote, right? That's like, other than the breaking the tie and the ceremonial thing she does in Congress, that's the only real job that's actually laid out. It was an amendment, but it's laid out for her. So it's a legit question. Why, like, if he couldn't run, why is he okay to still run the country? And we know he isn't. He's on the beach somewhere.
Vacation still.
I have a theory, Max. I have a theory. And it's just me because I write political thrillers based on these idiots.
Listen, you might be in the writer's room. The writer's room for the 2024 election.
I might be
assassinations.
I think they are going to vote problems. Him out. I think they're going to boot him and put her in as the president between now and November. They execute the 25th Amendment, make her the president under the assumption of, well, she's already president. So now it's, look, the world didn't burst into flames.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's entirely possible. Well, let me ask you about that, because I've read a little bit. They sent over a copy of the book. I appreciate it. I've been reading into it a little bit. Didn't have a lot of time last night, but read a little bit this morning. Enjoyed it. I'm not super into the genre. I used to be like a dystopian kind of future alternate history, like the Hunger Games things and and that kind of stuff. Man in the High Castle. I've enjoyed those. And reading it, you always get what make good books in that genre good is when you can read it, and even when it gets far-fetched and crazy, you sit in the back of your mind, you say, actually, that could happen, and you can relate to it. So here's a question. Is there anything you're working on now that you've changed because of how crazy things are getting?
No, I really haven't. In my book, Joe Biden has a brain hemorrhage on page 6, and by page 7, Kamala's been killed by a crazed white separatist. So, this was based on the 2020 election cycle.
You're wasting no time.
I did have them shoot Trump. So, there is something to that, and he's betrayed by his military again. I had a lot of stuff in the series that has come up absolutely correct. And it pisses people off because they read the book and they're like, every page, my blood pressure goes up, but I got to go to the next page because the story's good. And it bothers me that we are one bad day from this stuff all happening.
Yeah.
And that's how precarious it is. I mean, my wife and I were joking about it the other day. It was like, we're in our 8th day of the news cycle having a major historical event happen. It was just getting crazy between the debate, Biden stepping down, Trump being shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, holy cow, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it feels crazy. It feels like someone brought some drugs into the writer's room. Right? It would be crazy.
It's not that hard because it's all very plausible. That's why I watch CNN and MSNBC. They broadcast everything they want to do. Yeah. They're very open about it. They don't do anything sneaky. They go on TV and tell you this is what we're planning on doing.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever written something and taken a step back and said, I don't want to give them an idea? Have you ever had that sense?
No, because that puts them in the seat of being a terrorist organization that changes my behavior. And I refuse to let them change my behavior. I do not let them have that kind of power and control over me. If I start double guessing everything I do based on how some leftard is going to feel when he reads my book, which I don't encourage, this is a series for conservatives. But yeah, if I start altering that, then they're in charge of my writing, and I will not let them ever have that power over me.
That's good.
Yeah,
I would be nervous. I would be nervous because this is something that we say on the show all the time. When I criticize, or I always say, don't give them any ideas, don't give them any advice, any suggestions. But you're on what number book in the series? Is it like 5 or 6?
This was the 5th. I've got 2 more to go.
Yeah, so
Cool.
I have to believe that at this point, if they're reading, they've gotten everything.
I don't think they're big readers.
Yeah,
they're not really into culture. They're into chaos. That's their hallmark. When was the last time you saw any of them walking around with a book in their hands? They don't.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it. No,
they're the type that will have the bookshelf full of books.
Right.
And they might have the nice leather bound book on the coffee table.
Right.
Some are readers, and some people are readers, some aren't.
Yeah, but they got upset at J.D. Vance because he wrote a book about his life. They were literally going, oh, this is terrible. And I'm like, why aren't you embracing the fact that the guy wrote a book, and it became a bestseller?
Yeah. Made his life different.
The line that they keep using, Tim Walz keeps using it, denigrating him for getting out of Ohio, getting to Yale Law School, and then coming back to Ohio to try and help his community. They denigrate him for that. And it's very confusing to me because my understanding is that they're the party of higher education. And they say, keep going to school, keep one more degree, one more certificate, to denigrate him for that. And they repeatedly, and they did it at the DNC. They made fun of him for going to Yale right before like someone else was about to speak who went to Yale, right?
But they don't care about the contrast. They don't care that, hey, we said one thing 1 minute and the next minute we're saying something completely different. It means nothing to them. I think what's interesting is Walz is in no position to throw stones at anybody. And I think the vice presidential debate may actually be a bigger deciding point than most people believe, because it is going to come up about Walz's military service. And what his answer is going to be. Oh, I think it's bad if you degrade any veteran about their military service. Dude, you're the one that made up the fake military service. So you own this. You're going to have to deal with it.
He's also the one who, when they were asked him, why are you letting Minneapolis burn? Why didn't you call in the National Guard? He denigrated them and said they're just a bunch of 19-year-old fry cooks. Yeah. That was Tim Walz, right? I mean, so you can't have it both ways. You can't say that, oh, these are brave men. Anyone who ever serves in the National Guard, 100% brave. And then also say, oh, you're just a fry cook, 19-year-old fry cook. No, I think the VP debate will be very good. I think that J.D. Vance, I suspect watching that debate, I won't have as many moments where I'm shouting at the TV, say this, say this, say this. I think he's gonna be on when it comes to that, right? Of hitting every opportunity.
Walz is going to come across like Admiral Stockdale did when he showed up at the vice presidential debate. I just don't. The guy brings nothing to the table. I'm still surprised she picked him over Shapiro. Shapiro would have been the brilliant move.
It would have been over.
And, she really played the race card there. She said he's Jewish and I'm not going to, we all know it. She's never going to admit it out loud, but that's why they didn't pick him. Because she was concerned about losing Michigan. And I get it. I lived in Michigan half of my life, and it's the largest Arab community outside the Middle East is in the Dearborn area. It's incredible. And they're worried about losing that. So she made what I consider to be a huge mistake, and I still think it may be a mistake that haunts her right up through the election, because I don't know if Pennsylvania is going to fall into her camp. I think it's going to be on the Trump side of the board.
Yeah, Dearborn's interesting. I studied Arabic in school. I lived in Lebanon for a summer. I've studied Dearborn because it's always fascinating. Because when you look at immigration, waves of immigration, any wave of immigrants, always they want to kind of stay with their own, right? The Irish stay in the Irish neighborhoods, the Italians. That's why you have Little Italy in New York City, right? That's why you have Chinatown. Dearborn was always that for Muslims, for Arabs, and it made complete sense. Why coming to the United States, you'd want to go where people like you would be. What's really disturbing about the Dearborn trend is it's still obviously that place, but there's a lot of real warning signs for assimilation in Dearborn that no one seems to be blowing the whistle on. Census data, you look at the census data for Dearborn, and every 10 years, the number of people in Dearborn, Michigan who speak English in their home goes down, 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 down. That is concerning. Not that we need to have official language, English, or get out, but it's the idea that you can live in Dearborn and you don't even need English to get by. That to me is super concerning from a national perspective, from a cultural perspective. To have an enclave, it would be like the Irish coming to New York and just speaking Gaelic, like never even learning English. It would be insane.
In the first book I did of Blue Dawn, I actually referenced it to the point where they've implemented Sharia law in Dearborn, because without anything to stop that will happen. And what's interesting too is the Arab community, and I have no problem with them. They are spreading to other ethnic communities and driving them out. Hamtramck, Michigan was primarily a Polish community. The Poles are now the minority. They have been driven out, and a lot of it is they age out, etc. But a lot of it is the expansion into these other areas, and it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. We're here with Blaine Pardoe, New York Times bestselling author. We put it on screen. We're almost out of time. I want to ask you though. Before I read a little bit of your book, before I learned about you, I remember you as one of the earliest guys who cancel culture came after.
Yeah.
They went after your publisher. We don't have to dive into all of the bits, but it was a guy who seemed to be pretty mentally unwell, pretty fixated on ruining your life. You didn't really do anything wrong. I want to give you a chance to just kind of talk about that a little bit, because it's even more interesting after last night's debate, where anything you were saying on social media, they were literally reading between the lines, trying to find hints of hidden, closeted Confederacy, things like that. Meanwhile, we have the debate moderators unapologetically wearing their leftism on their sleeve, and no one even cares about that. I want to give you a chance to kind of comment on it, because we've come so far, but also at the same time, in terms of fighting back against cancel culture, but at the same time, it feels like we haven't fixed it enough.
Cancel culture is very real. I mean, my former publisher, just this last week, put out an anthology, republished it, that I contributed to, and memory hold my name off the description on Amazon.
No.
And, it's a minor thing. My name is in the book. It's on the back cover, but they, in Amazon alone, deliberately made the effort to remove that name. Now, I went very public with it when I found out. One of the fans, I didn't even know the book had been republished. One of the fans said, "Hey, why isn't your name in here? Your story's in here." I did a blog about it, and I've had something like 7,000, 8,000 people hit it going, "What the hell is this?" And the publisher did change it yesterday. But it took a week of the fans being upset about it. So when people tell me cancel culture is not real, I always go, it's happening all the time. And you cannot concede a bit of ground to these people. You have to stay on the offensive.
Yeah. And that's not something that could be an accident. It's not like someone said, "Oops, forgot his name." You're the one author in there that was dropped by the publisher. Right. They don't want you in the SEO. They don't want you in the metadata on the page.
Right. And I've formed an opinion about a lot of the woke out there, and I'll share it with you based on my experience. The person that came after me was someone who proclaimed they were a lesbian nurse and they were adopting children and nursing them while they were on Twitter. And turns out it was a 40-year-old guy living at home with his dad.
Of course.
No job. Well, he lost his job for issuing terroristic threats, which he pled guilty to.
Oh my gosh.
And when we went through, we got the protective order extended earlier this year. This was somebody that came out and basically said, well, I don't have a job. I don't have a car. I don't have a driver's license. That this was part of their defense why they couldn't come and testify. Yeah. And it's like, you really form an opinion about the people out there that are part of this. Oh, I'm a social justice warrior. All it means is that you're in your mom's basement with your pants around your ankles. I get it,
And keyboard warriors.
It's literally what you're dealing with. They are people that if it wasn't for the internet, you wouldn't know they existed. Yeah. They literally have no life. If Twitter goes down, these people cease to exist.
There was an old South Park episode about a game called World of Warcraft. And they had a character in it. And every time you talk about this or someone else describes like a keyboard warrior in this way, I always think of this image.
Yeah.
Of this character, the troll. And this was years ago, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny, like you spend all this time arguing with people and they get under your skin. And then the minute you click on their profile picture, if they even show their face, you're like, what am I doing? Why do I care what this person thinks?
Thanks, yeah.
What are we doing?
I didn't dox the guy. He doxed himself this year, which was great because I finally knew who he was. But, I didn't dox the guy. And it was tempting, believe me, a lot of temptation for it, but I didn't do it. It's just, you sit there and go, these people don't contribute a thing to society. Nothing. They don't create. They just take shots at other people. And I stopped engaging with this person because law enforcement got involved because the person threatened my life. So at that point, you let law enforcement do its job and I didn't engage with the person. And I will tell you, that actually drove them more nuts than engaging with them because they think at that point they have some degree of power or control over you. And that reflects back to the broader picture of what we were talking about earlier. This election's about control. They experienced unprecedented powers during COVID over the American people. And if you're a politician, you love that kind of power. And they want to go back to that. They want to be able to tell you what way to walk down an aisle in Walmart. They want to tell you who can go out when and where you can shop and what kind of car you can drive. And you can't own a gas stove. You've got to buy one of their stoves and where your electricity has to come from. And they want to control over every aspect of your life. And these people that are doing it online are just the frontline drugs who are going to get, slammed first, but these guys are just part of this vast army that the left has been pushing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're out of time, Blaine, but I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the dialogue.
Throw it on the screen again.
You're doing great.
The Blue Dawn series. This is the latest one, right? Patrons of Terror. That came out this past spring. When's the next one coming out? Do you know?
Probably next spring. I've started on it. I usually have 2 or 3 books going at once.
Oh wow. I'm excited to get it.
I've got 2 or 3 books going just because I can't decide what I want to write next.
Well, the one I got coming with, I'm doing one with Mike Barron, who wrote the Punisher comic book.
Oh,
for years.
You're kidding!
And I'm going to tell you the pitch because the book is done and we're getting the audiobook done right now. But the pitch, and Mike and I came up with a great idea for this. Picture the Punisher killing the woke.
Oh my God. I can't.
I know.
like Antifa takes over a park in Seattle and they just get mowed down.
Yeah,
and a Punisher.
I'm not gonna ruin it, but it's along those lines. It's called Tenure, and that book will be out sometime this fall. And I I just think that people
want
are
that.
going to gravitate to it because it's old-fashioned Mac Bullen, the Executioner, and all that stuff. I think people are going to really enjoy that.
Fantastic.
I think that's great. They've tried to cancel Punisher.
Oh,
Yeah.
they have. They've
Really?
unbanned him.
Well, Marvel's bringing him back in the show, so that's probably going to reinvigorate the comics because you can't put him in the show, in the new Daredevil show, and not have a new line of comics.
Oh, I think they can because they operate those things very separately. You know, they had his wife come back and claim that he was insane and he didn't have to kill all those people all those years. And they demand him is what they did. They neutered him.
Shocking.
And that's how the left operates. You know, the comics industry has been destroyed in this country, except for independent creators who have gone out and created their own, parallel market.
Yeah. Well, they've tried to also cancel the Punisher skull because the skull has been appropriated by conservatives because they see it and they say, oh, that's cool. The new series coming out for Daredevil Reborn is going to have him wearing the Punisher skull.
Yeah.
So we've kind of seen, you don't expect this from Disney, but at least on that point, because that was a big deal. We're going to no more Punisher skull. It's been appropriated by right-wing fanatics. We're done. And now, as soon as there's real money, not talking about like how many comics did we sell this week money, but like Marvel Studios $100 million budget money, all of a sudden the skull is back. Which is why I said I think that this is going to lead to a new run of comics.
I hope.
I hope. Well, Blaine, it was great having you. I really appreciate it. We'd love to have you back.
Anytime you guys need a guest, give me a ring.
We'd love to have you on more.
Where can people find you? Where can people follow you?
Hey, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. And if you go on Amazon, just type in my name. You'll find my stuff.
All right. Well, awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Blaine. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That was a great conversation. No, when you told me we had a fiction author, I was like, well,
yeah.
But the more I read about him and how he was canceled and how it's alt fiction, I didn't get to ask him that, what term he wants to use for it.
Yeah.
The more I'm reading about it, the more you realize that, oh, well, these are crazy stories, but they all have that little kernel of truth
to it. Yeah. And I'd grown up with a lot of his stuff early. So when I had the opportunity, I was like, we'll get him on. Like, it was cool, man. I had that stuff when I was younger. And to hear the exciting stuff about the stuff in the pipeline with him, that's cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
I like it. So we're gonna have him back. I love his takes on stuff. He's great.
I also didn't think we'd have an interview where we're like geeking out, fingers crossed that Punisher's gonna start like killing people.
Know, right? Oh my gosh. Oh
yeah.
Oh, that kind of made the middle part of my week, man.
Kamala is going to win and ban your guns. I can't wait to watch you have to give them up during the buybacks. Otto von Wienis.
Oh,
I pray that's not your real name. Otto von Wienis. How about you lead the stack? Yeah. You can be the first through the door.
Yeah.
The first gun confiscation, you should be the first through the door. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And
they're brave.
And then if you aren't Swiss cheese by the end of it, you can come back and you can tell us how it went.
You're here.
Then again, last night, Kamala Harris says there are no buybacks because she is a gun owner. So
don't understand that one. Don't understand that one last night. It was a bit of a mystery.
Which is it, Otto von Wienis?
Yeah.
That is your real name.
Yeah. I always hate it when our competitors come onto the show and try to steal our stuff. And I think Otto von Wienis is doing it.
You talk tough. Good luck. We have the military and police on our side now. What the fuck are you talking about? You're crazy.
It's unhinged. I mean,
we talk about delusions of alternate reality.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like this guy's getting off to Americans being killed because that's what would happen, right?
Right.
We saw that happen in Maryland when they launched their red flag law confiscations. One of the first guys that actually had his guns confiscated was shot and killed by police.
Yeah.
Because they showed up at his door at 3 a.m. He didn't know what's going on. He came to the door with a gun because they were pounding on it in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
and there was a struggle. He didn't know what's going on. They shot him. So yeah, Otto von Wienis. You can lead the stack.
Yeah.
Lead the
Strong
stack.
guy. Brave, too. I always like it when the keyboard warriors come out, That's what happens when you bring strong conservatives onto the show.
Yeah.
That's what happens every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have to start with the propaganda machine.
Your time is up. The future is more diverse and hopeful. That diverse future you're talking about is literally eating pets in Ohio.
And where's PETA on this one, dude? Where's PETA on this one? Like I did no show.
There was a woman doing an interview on the street. It's on social media now, where she's talking about how all of the neighborhood cats have gone missing since the Haitians all moved in. That's more diverse and hopeful. But sure. Kamala's going to usher in a new era. Oh my God. This guy might actually believe this crap.
Yeah, they may. I mean, they usually don't memorize the kind of propaganda unless they're trying to line up with it. So but that's okay. Just keep at it. I mean, if you want to debate us on it, just keep sending those messages. We'll talk.
Keep commenting. The more you comment, the better engagement we have. So listen, if Otto von Wienis wants to comment 1 million times, go for it.
Yeah,
go for it.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends they can all comment here too.
Bring them here.
Well, we're out of time. Again, thank you to our guest for stopping by. It was good. I'm going to read. I want to start at the beginning now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get all of that.
Now they're saying that Joe Biden has a brain hemorrhage on page 4, and Kamala Harris dies on page 6. Now he's kind of got me interested.
Right.
Not that I want that to happen, but that's a hell of a first 6 pages.
Yeah, it's got to be riveting reading. I mean, and a lot of the early Mech Warrior stuff is all great stuff, gang. So check them out. I mean, I was really excited to have him on.
He had another book I read a while ago. It was nonfiction. I think it was him about United States war plans that never got actually put into effect. I think was that him?
Yeah.
That was interesting to me. It's funny. He has these books, and you scroll down, and it's like sci-fi, and it's like Imperial Germany biography. He's got a lot of cool interests. So check him out.
Yeah, smart dude.
Check him out. Check out his books, and we'll definitely have him back. That's it for this edition of the podcast. If you like the podcast, subscribe. Links are in the description if you're watching us on Rumble or YouTube. If you're watching us on X, welcome. Follow this account, and also go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and Rumble. Right Guys Podcast, you can find us there. We also have the audio edition of the podcast, which is available everywhere audio podcasts are found. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, Audible, all that fun stuff. Check us out there. Subscribe, set to auto download, and you can listen when you're in the car. That's it for this edition. My name is Max McGuire.
I'm Josh Hammerling.
Remember, the fight to take back our country is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all step and fight together. See you next time.
See you.